Time is an odd thing. I left Karnaca decades ago, excited about all the Dunwall might hold. I remember falling in love with Jessamine, watching her crowned as Empress, Emily's birth, the rat plague, then Jessamine's death and another coronation. Now all this, back in the city where I was born. Stilton's home hides a mystery, but I'll tear it apart brick by brick to learn the secret of Delilah's immortality, as long as it ends with her in chains. She might have pulled herself up from nothing, but I ran out of sympathy for tyrants and witches a long time ago. All I want is to put an end to Delilah's reign and make sure Emily is safe. One more time. Definitely odd. Something just shifted.
Welcome to A Crack in the Slab, my favorite mission in the entire game, closely followed by the Clockwork Mansion. There is definitely something unique to this mission. You might notice in the top left, our power has been darkened out.
This place is cursed, cracked. I can feel the void seeping in.
The entire place drains you of your powers and you cannot use any of your blinks or dark visions or bend time or anything. But you can use your bone charms and you can use your passive abilities like the double jump from agility. Part of the reason why we waited with bone charm crafting until now, where we really get to make use of them. But initially when you enter here, it's just... this is what you see.
I know you think I don't belong here, insufferable elitist.
Is that Stilton?
A completely run-down, abandoned, dilapidated mansion where there seems to be nothing.
They drop food for me, in and out, like the wind. I think they're afraid.
The Duke is paying the Howlers to drop food for Stilton.
This is no place to live, no way to live. But this is it. Duke has been dropping in food here via Durante, who works for the Howlers, to keep Stilton alive, but locked, limited, uninvolved. No one even knows if he's alive. Well, he does seem to be alive. But we gotta find our way to him, and of course we can't use any of our abilities to blink through or anything. Here we're just a normal man. There is a nest keeper here. It's quite handy if you can take him out here already. I'm going to do exactly that. You might notice that the dart stayed inside him. That is because of the Lucky Needle bone charm that we have now crafted 4 times. This makes this happen quite a lot. We have a fairly high chance of recovering any sleep darts we use. It's one of my favorite bone charms, and one of the top things you should craft for quadruple power.
Stilton's manor is falling apart.
There is a rune here, and seemingly nothing else. We fall down there, we go to the entrance of the mansion, so clearly that's not where we need to go. But if we continue down here...
You and I were hunting, but the deer had faces.
we find his bedroom, such as it is.
There are whales down in the mines. I hear them howling to one another. Swollen beasts.
There he is.
Snap out of it,
A
man.
man from Morley offered me 10.
3 years ago, something inside Aramis Stilton snapped like a cheap lock. A part of him and a part of this house never left that evening. The Duke's inner circle are still gathered here, setting their grand plan into motion. Delilah's plan. And a part of Empress Stilton is always here, still breaking. The Void is not exactly a place, and it's much older and stranger than you could ever know. It watches you from within. And at the heart of Stilton's house, the Void is leaking through a pinprick left behind by Delilah's little trick. Even magic is perverted here, and things don't work like they should. Take this. Imagine it's a kind of timepiece. Go and watch the Duke and Delilah. See for yourself what they did.
So we may not have our powers, but we will have this.
Coin for that.
Stilton himself is...
Bad news from the mines. I can sense.
Well, his mind is broken.
How many dead? This can't be right. Who has been fooling with the clocks? I'll have their pay docked. The days are burning. Can't you smell it? Right up in smoke.
He reacted a bit when we grabbed the cameo sitting next to his chair, but other than that...
How did I get so old? Where are the men of my younger days? The dances we had here.
This is him. But folding up the timepiece, we get to see through time into the past. And it's just so cool. So let's use it.
Time is leaking, coming out of the walls.
By the Void.
Your guests are waiting in the study. The Duke is demanding refreshments, and I can't get in without the combination.
There's a note on the door, Captain Windelbaum.
What? He's out back. I need the code to the study.
It's in his notebook, ma'am, but he keeps it with him.
Thank you, Corporal. Speaking bluntly, I really don't like Stilton's guests. Earlier, I got my ass chewed out by the Royal Curator. What's her name?
You're talking about Brianna Ashworth, I believe.
Yes, that's her. She's an odd one. Anyway, keep up the good work.
Thank you, Captain.
Back in the past, everything seems alright. And we might as well grab this little souvenir to keep it, a calendar from 3 years ago. And this place is obviously much better. Back when Stilton was alive and well, and running this place, like the rich mine owner that he is. There's generally a fair bit of treasure in this area. Obviously, most of it is in the past.
The only way out of here is through the present, using this time.
But a fair bit of it is in the present as well. Less than you'd imagine, though. We can continue using this timepiece to sort of see through where we need to go. And it is, as you can imagine, incredibly useful for trying to stealth.
Go to Dunwall and tell the Empress that the Duke is in the garden digging up corpses. And he has learned how to sing. She'll know what you mean.
We made it out of the room. And next up, we need to find a key to move around.
Stilton had taste before lunacy took his mind.
What am I supposed to do with a request like that? Gooseberry wine in the south?
There are many things you can do with this mission, and there are some ways you can just blast straight to the finish, but there's a lot of cool things to see and do here, so let's make sure we see a lot of that. This is something we'll be doing a lot. Step into time to move around and avoid guards and things. It's incredibly useful, as you can imagine. It's sort of a invisibility ghost type thing. In some ways we are even stronger with the timepiece than we are with our powers. Maybe not in regards to combat, but definitely in regards to stealth.
What will change in the present based on what I do here tonight?
Does Artemis Stilton actually play the harp or the piano?
Not that I ever heard.
What am I doing here then? Why hire a tuner for instruments no one ever plays?
If you ask me, Stilton thinks a harp or a piano is the kind of thing a man in his position should own.
I'm not sure what that means. I've always thought people bought an instrument because they liked music.
Not always. Sometimes it's about appearances.
Throughout this mission we find out a lot about Aramis Stilton, what kind of a man he is and what he thinks about things. He genuinely seems like a good man.
Air feels heavy. Hard to get a good lungful.
You might notice how fast that chokeout was. You might notice how fast we're moving when carrying a corpse. The benefit of those bone charms we have. A 4 stack of strong arms and a 4 stack of Undertaker. Let's see it again. It's great. It's really good. The other ones we have, some of them we can't really make use of. One of them is the one that heals us during dark vision. Obviously, since we can't use any powers this mission, that's not going to be very useful. The other stuff is good though. Moving fast while stealth mode and so on. The one thing is though, while we have our weapons out, we'll still slow it a bit. There's a bone charm later on that can eliminate that for a bit. And because we'll be using the timepiece a lot, we won't necessarily feel that we are super fast, although it is a little bit noticeable. Down here is a place we need to go, but first, gonna mess with the levers a bit. That starts moving the chandeliers around, which is impressive, I think. Fancy mansion. And of course, in the present, the roof has collapsed, which is good for us to climb up here and find that thing that Stilton mentioned, that thing of bone that Brianna crafted. A bone charm. Falling star, not particularly useful for a stealth playthrough. But now that we're up here, we can go back to the past and grab a little bit of everything. Again, mostly stuff we don't really need. Now you don't want to fall down as you go back into the present, so make sure you line it up. The master key that we want to find to be able to open up all the doors, you can pickpocket from a few guards, but the easiest place to find it is probably by going under the table here. There's also a special action and achievement involved with this. If you manage to grab the key without attracting any attention. And this is basically what you do. Ta-da!
Nothing, man.
Alright, then we need to go back to the present. That guy decides to slide over the table for some reason. But good for him, I guess. Now we have the master key. Now we can pretty much move towards the end. So we need to be able to move to the backyard, the courtyard, where we can find Stilton himself and the notebook with the combination for the study, which is our end goal. But as we move to this place, this seems to be a vault of some sort.
I might be able to get around that, going back into the past.
So let's do just that. Inside the vault we find, well, a note. Manny says that the statue's not really something Mr. Stilton wants out in the open, and that he wants it facing the wall, and then he also had a creepy painting he found at the flea market. We'll take that. We'll also take this. And we'll also open the safe. We're a master thief this way. That gives us another blueprint, by the way, which is quite handy, as well as a whole bunch of coins. Now here's why we really came here. If we do this, the statue kind of breaks, and they decide not to move it, which means we can now move through. Time travel, ladies and gentlemen. Cause and effect. This sort of ambient soundtrack in the background when you're in the present here is great. I love it. I think it's amazing to set the tone. And every time you move back and forth, you get to see the feeling. So there's a bunch of bloodflies there, but we can't really get there until, of course, we travel through time. Do I want to sort of check through first to make sure you're not going to travel right into something? Ah yes, sleep darts. We're going to be needing some of those. We can use them a little bit more freely now with Lucky Needle, because we keep replenishing them, but it's always good to find them. This is one of my favorite puzzles in the game. So, you make your way through here by going to the present, and in the present everything seems pretty awful. In the past it's a little bit better. You find a note saying that they found a dead hound, that I'm gonna do that for my Silvergraph project, and then I realized there might be bloodfly larvae inside the swelling of the ribcage. So, we burned the corpse of the hound. That's what it was supposed to do. And with the corpse properly taken care of, there's a safe here.
Maybe it's open in the present.
Now there's no bloodflies, because we dealt with Wolfhound. And that means we can see the door with 238 as the code when it's opened. So once we input 238, we get access to the safe. Love these little cause and effect time travel solutions. Fleet Fighter, that is what I was talking about. If we have that one equipped, we do not move slower when our weapons are unsheathed. So we're going to go ahead and equip that. But that solves that for this room. We do have to change now. And once we go here, we can just break the barrier here so we can move through without having to time travel every time. We're in a different part of the mansion now. Sort of in the middle here. And this is from one of the guard captains here. We can grab the master key if we hadn't already.
I just have to finish my shift. Then I can go home. Put my feet up.
Just playing it safe, really. I want to get rid of this guy. Now, sometimes I forget, and I think that a really good place to place him would be in the time. But you can't bring guards with you through time. Only you move through. Anything you carry with you falls. So he's just gonna have to stay here. There's another guard here. Nice painting, by the way. There's another guard here. Let's make sure he doesn't see us. This is the big main room where we will eventually move upstairs and find the entrance to the backyard and to the study. So we will be coming back here eventually. For now, we've taken this out and we're gonna go outside. Sadly, nothing in the cupboards.